I'm not in a hurry, but let me just do my little bit of blurb. So it's Kitely, it's Monday, it must be the English Reading Club. We've got a full house, and I'm going to make sure everybody gets to read. So we will be pushing on a bit, okay? Eleanor, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm always ready.
Ever ready. Like a
Have
battery.
you ever... Okay. Have you ever been up at 5 o'clock on a fine summer morning? It is very beautiful. The sunlight is pinky and yellowy, and all the grass and trees are covered with dew diamonds. And all the shadows go the opposite way to the way they do in the evening, which is very interesting, makes you feel as though you were in a new other world. Antia woke at 5. She had made herself wake, and I must tell you how it is done, even if it keeps you waiting for the story to go on. You get into bed at night, and lie down quite flat on your little back, with your hands straight down by your sides. Then you say, I must wake up at 5, or 6, or 7, or 8, or 9, or whatever the time is that you want. And as you say it, you push your chin down on your chest and then whack your head back on the pillow. And you do this as many times as there are ones in the time you want to wake up at. It is quite an easy sum. Of course, everything depends on your really wanting to get up at 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. If you don't really want to, it's all of no use. But if you do, well, try it and see. Of course, in this, as in doing Latin proses or getting into mischief, practice makes perfect. And Tia was quite perfect. At the very moment when she opened her eyes, she had the black and gold clock down in the dining room strike 11. So she knew it was 3 minutes to 5. The black and gold clock always struck wrong, but it was all right when you knew what it meant. It was like a person talking a foreign language. If you know the language, it is just as easy to understand as English. And Idea knew the clock language. She was very sleepy, but she jumped out of bed and put her face and hands into a basin of cold water. This is a fairy charm that prevents your wanting to get back into bed again. Then she dressed and folded up her nightdress. She did not tumble it together by the sleeves, but folded it by the seams from the hem, and that will show you the kind of well-brought-up little girl she was. Then she took her shoes in her hand and crept softly down the stairs. She opened the dining-room window and climbed out. It would have been just as easy to get out by the door, but the window was more romantic and less likely to be noticed by Martha. I will always get up at 5, she said to herself. It was quite too awfully pretty for anything. Her heart was beating very fast, for she was carrying out a plan quite her own. She could not be sure that it was a good plan, but she was quite sure that it would not be any better if she were to tell the others about it. And she had a feeling that, right or wrong, she would rather go through with it alone. She put on her shoes under the iron veranda, on the red and yellow shining tiles, and then she ran straight to the sand pit and found the summit's place and dug it out. It was very cross indeed. It's too bad, it said, fluffing up its fur as pigeons do their feathers at Christmas time. The weather is Arctic and it's the middle of the night. I'm so sorry, said Auntie Argenti, and she took off her white pinafore and covered the sand fairy up with it, all but its head. its butts, yes, and its eyes that were like a snail's eyes. Thank you, it said. That's better. What's the wish this morning? I don't know, she said. That's just it. You see, we've been very unlucky so far. I wanted to talk to you about it, but would you mind not giving me any wishes till after breakfast? It's so hard to talk to anyone if they jump out at you with wishes you don't really want. You shouldn't say you wish for things if you don't wish for them. In the old days, people almost always knew whether it was Megatherium or Ichthyosaurus they really wanted for dinner. I try not to do so, said Antia, but I do wish. Look out, said the summit in a warning voice, and it began to blow itself out. Oh, this isn't a magic wish, it's just, I should be so glad if you'd not swell yourself out and nearly best to give me anything just now. Wait till the others are here. Well, well, it said indulgently, but it shivered. Would you, asked Antia kindly, would you like to come and sit on my lap? You'd be warmer and I could turn the skirt of my frock up around you. I'd be very careful. Antia had never expected that it would, but it did. Thank you, it said. You really are rather thoughtful. It crept onto her lap and snuggled down, and she put her arms round it with a rather frightened gentleness. Now then, it said. Well then, said Antia, everything we have wished has turned out rather horrid. I wish you would advise us. You are so old, you must be very wise. I was always generous from a child, said the Sand Fairy. I've spent the whole of my waking hours in giving. But one thing I won't give, that's advice. You see, Antia went on, it's such a wonderful thing, such a splendid, glorious chance. It's so good and kind and dear of you to give us our wishes, and it seems such a pity it should all be wasted just because we are too silly to know what to wish for.
Okay, well
And yeah,
done.
okay.
Nicely done. Very nicely read, actually. So, just one
Now alarm.
tiny little bit of advice. When you said back, you used the long
Huh?
R, and that can sound like bark. Okay, like a dog
Oh no
bark.
no back
Back. So it is
yeah.
always. I know sometimes we say glass, glasses, grass, grass, but with back, it's always the the short sound. Back. Okay, and get that k,
Oh yeah.
back. Okay,
Back
right.
back back. Is it
That's
better?
it. Yes, yes, excellent. Well done. Okay, any questions? Anybody got any questions? Has everybody caught up where we are in the book? At the moment, we're on page 119-ish. Okay.
And this is very good book. I'm really glad to read it, you know. Very
Good, I'm
beautiful.
glad. I mean, it's always difficult finding books that are the right level for everybody and not too complicated. But, it just shows you that the standard of writing for children has actually deteriorated really over time, because a lot of the children's books nowadays, they're so simple and easy to read, and I think sometimes they should make them a little bit more difficult. I think this is a book any person of any age can read and enjoy, personally. But that's life, No questions? Okay, the next person to read is April. So April, she's got her book ready in her hand. Would you like to start reading, April?
Yes, one moment. Where is it? Oh,
From Anthea had
Anthea?
meant to say that, I think.
Anthea had meant to say that, and she had not wanted to say it before the others. It's one thing to say you are silly, and quite another to say that other people are. Child, said the Sand Fairy sleepily, I can only advise you to think before you speak. But I thought you never gave advice. That piece doesn't count, it said. You'll never take it. Besides, it's not original. It's in all the copybooks. But won't you just say, if you sing wings would be a silly wish? Wings? It said. I should think you might do worse. Only take care you aren't flying. High at sunset, there was a little 9-white boy I heard of once. He was one of King Sennacherib's sons, and a traveler brought him a samite. He used to keep it in a box of sand on the palace terrace. It was a dreadful degradation for one of us, of course. Still, the boy was the Assyrian king's son, and one day he wished for wings and got them. But he forgot that they would turn into stone at sunset, and when they did, he fell on to one of the wind lions at the top of his father's great staircase, and what with his stone wings and the lion's stone wings, well, it's not a very pretty story, but I believe the boy enjoyed himself very much till then. Tell me, said Antia, why don't our wishes turn into stone now? Why do they just vanish? Autre temps, autre meur, said the creature. Is that the 9-white language? Asked Antia, who had learned no foreign language at school except French. What I mean is, the Samite went on, that in the old days people wished for good solid everyday gifts, mammoths and pterodactyls and things, and those could be turned into stone as easy as not. But people wish such high-flying, fanciful things nowadays. How are you going to turn being beautiful as the day or being wanted by everybody into stone? You see, it can be done, and it would never do to have two rules, so they simply vanish. If being beautiful as the day could be turned into stone, it would last an awfully long time, much longer than you would. Just look at the Greek statues. It's just as well as it is. Goodbye, I'm so sleepy. It jumped off her lap, ducked frantically, and vanished. Antia was late for breakfast. It was Robert who quietly poured a spoonful of molasses down the lamb's frock so that he had to be taken away and washed thoroughly directly after breakfast. And it was, of course, a very naughty thing to do, yet it served two purposes. It delighted the lamb, who loved above all things to be completely sticky, and it engaged Martha's attention so that the others could slip away to the sandpit without the lamp. They did it, and in the lane, Antia, breathless from the hurry of that sleeping, panted out, I want to propose we take turns to wish. Only nobody's to have a wish if the others don't think it's a nice wish. Do you agree? Who is to have first wish? Asked Robert cautiously. Me, if you don't mind, said Anthea apologetically. And I've thought about it, and it's wings. There was a silence. The others rather wanted to find fault, but it was hard, because the word wings raised a flutter of joyous excitement in every breast. Not so dusty, said Cyril generously, and Robert added, Really, Panther, you're not quite such a fool as you look. Jane said, I think it would be perfectly lovely. It's like a bright dream of delirium. They found the sand fairy easily. Anthea said, I wish we all had beautiful wings to fly with. The sand fairy blew himself out, and next moment its child felt a funny feeling, half heaviness and half lightness, on its shoulders. The summit put its head on one side and turned its snail eyes from one side to the other. "Not so bad," it said dreamily. "But really, Robert, you are not quite such an angel as you look." Robert almost blushed. The wings were very big and more beautiful than you can possibly imagine, for they were soft and smooth, and every feather lay neatly in its place. And the feathers were of the most lovely mixed changing colors, like the rainbow or iridescent glass, or the beautiful scum that sometimes floats on water that is not at all nice to drink.
Very good. Well
Oh,
done.
thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so I don't know. Is this a good wish, do you think, wings? We will see. Okay, beautifully read, April. So not a lot in the way of corrections from me. Just one word that you probably will never need again. And I would say, rather than Ninevite, I'd say Ninevite. A Ninevite. Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
pronunciation I have found.
You found it,
by-
yeah. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a difficult thing. I've no idea what they called themselves or how they, because it's from Nineveh. I know it's Nineveh, so I presume it would be Ninevite. Okay, and you get 2 smileys. So let's just give you your 2 smileys, which are very good. The first one, creature, not
Yeah,
create, yeah,
creature.
because you've got create, and creative, but creature, yeah. It's one of those. I think it's in the first line of "Dearest Creature in Creation,"
Yes.
which you read so beautifully yourself, of course. And then apologetically.
Apologetically.
That's it. Yes, indeed, our favourite poem, Eleanor. Do you know what, April? You are the only person who's tackled the whole thing on VoiceThread. So I think I should make you a special badge. Okay, so the next... Are there any questions? I think we've lost Reem. I think she must have crashed, actually. Hopefully she can join us in a bit. Yeah, it's a difficult one sometimes. Any questions about the text? Any words you're not sure of? Any phrases you can't? Iridescent. Does everybody know what iridescent means? Can you think of something
yes,
that is
because
iridescent?
it is rainbow in Latin.
Yeah.
It is.
Can you think of something that you would consider to be iridescent? That you might say
The
The
rainbow
sky
itself.
sometimes, I guess. Oh, sorry.
can be, but
Yeah, the
I was
rainbow
thinking
itself.
about a pearl, and I've just tried to actually res a pearl, and it's the wrong pearl. So you won't believe what's above the house. Oh wow! Oh, we'll definitely have to have that later. Okay. I love it. So let me see. Here it is. I just read the wrong thing. So here on the table, next to the gold, is a pearl, and a pearl is by its nature iridescent, as are opals as well. Okay, so glowing and multicoloured and just beautiful, a beautiful glow to them. Yeah, iridescent. But yes, a rainbow, you could call a rainbow
water.
iridescent too. And the water, well, as I said, water not normally, but if you get that, have you ever seen petrol or oil
Yeah.
on water, and
Yes.
then the light hits it, and suddenly it's beautiful mixture of colours, and it's just lovely. But as it says here, you wouldn't want to drink it.
Or flame, Lynn.
A
Flame?
flame is too bright to be iridescent. Yeah. A flame glows. Okay. But when you look at a pearl, when you look at a rainbow, when you look at the puddle of water with the film of oil on it, as you move, it changes the colours. It glows and it changes as you move your head. And that's what iridescent, it's like more of a glow than a glitter luster than you would call a flame. So the flames in the fireplace here, I wouldn't consider them iridescent. I'd say they glow. Okay? They're glowing. Burning. Welcome back, Reem. Okay, so Shiny is next to read. Shiny, are you on the right part of the book?
I guess.
Yeah, from Oh, But How Can We Fly? So whenever you're ready, if you'd like to start.
Oh, but can we fly? Jen said, standing anxiously, first on one foot and then on the other. Look out, said Cyril. You are treading on my wing. Does it hurt? Asked Anthea with interest. But no one answered, for Robert had spread his wings and jumped up, and now he was slowly rising in the air. He looked very awkward in his knickerbocker suit. His boots in particular hung helplessly, and seemed much larger than when he was standing in them. But the others cared but little how he looked, or how they looked, for that matter. For now they all spread out their wings and rose in the air. Of course, you all know what flying feels like, because everyone had dreamed about flying, and it seems so beautifully easy. Only you can never remember how you did it, and as a rule, you have to do it without wings. In your dreams, which is more clever and uncommon, but not so easy to remember the rule. 4. Now the 4 children rose flapping from the ground, and you can't think how good the air felt running against their faces. Their wings were tremendously wide when they were spread out, and they had to fly quite a long way apart so as not to get in each other's way. But little things like this are easily learned. All the words in the English dictionary and in the Greek lexicon as well are, I find, of no use at all to tell you exactly what it feels like to be flying, so I will not try. But I will say that to look down on the fields and woods, instead of alone at them, is something like looking at a beautiful life map, where instead of silly colors on paper, you have real moving sunny woods and green fields laid out one after the other, as Cyril said, and I can't think where he got hold of such a strange expression. It does you a fair trade. It was most wonderful and more like real magic than any wish the children had had yet. They flapped and flew and sailed down their great rainbow wings between green earth and blue sky, and they flew right over Rochester, and then swerved round towards Maidstone, and presently they all began to feel extremely hungry. Curiously enough, this happened when they were flying rather low, and just as they were crossing an orchard where some early plums shone red and ripe. They paused on their wings. I cannot explain to you how this is done, but it is something like trading water when you are swimming, and hawks do it extremely well. Yes, I dare say, said Cyril, though no one had spoken. But stealing is stealing, even if you've got wings. Do you really think so? Said Jane briskly. If you've got wings, you are a bird, and no one minds birds breaking the commandments. At least they may mind, but the birds always do it, and no one scolds them or sends them to prison. It was not so easy to perch on a plum tree as you might think, because the rainbow wings were so very large, but somehow they all managed to do it, and the plums were certainly very sweet and juicy.
Very good.
Fortunately.
Well done. Okay. Nicely read. Nicely read. Okay. And you get, well, there's a mixture here because you get several smileys, which is brilliant, and a couple of corrections, which is also brilliant because that's why you're here. So let's start with the individual words. Okay. First one, interest. Yeah. You're interested in something, to show interest. Try it.
Interest.
That's it. And then the next one, it's just the p sound. You know, that explosive p. Flapping. Not flabbing. Flapping.
Flapping.
That's better. And then a lexicon. A lexicon.
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 That's it, yeah. Everyone knows what a lexicon is, I hope. Usually it's another word for dictionary. It's your vocabulary, is your lexicon. Okay, very important for you guys. Then the next one is a long E, like eat, treat, not trait. Trait is a word, T-R-A-I-T. If you show a particular trait, it's like something that's typically you. You know, a certain trait. Maybe my laughter is a trait of mine. I think it annoys some people, but I can't help it. I just laugh a lot. Okay, so treat. Try it, Shiny.
Treat.
That's it. The next one is just the soft S. Curious. Curiously. Curiously.
Curiously.
That's it. And the next one, it's an O sound, not an O. So it's paused, not posed. Paused. Try it.
Posed.
Or. Say or.
Or.
Pour.
Or.
Or pour.
Or pour.
Paused.
Paused.
That's it. Or, pour, paused. Okay, because if you pose, for example, when you're in the pose, when you stand and you want to change your outfit, yeah, that's posing. A pose. So let me find a pose stand. Here, here's a pose. Ta-da! I'm posing. So, pause, not pose. I think the or sound is something you need to work on a little bit, Shiny, okay? That or. You can say it, you just need to get your brain to accept it in other words as well. Okay, the next is your smileys. Well done. First of all, helplessly. Try it.
Helplessly.
Yep. Paper.
Paper.
Water.
Water.
Commandments.
Commandments.
That's it. Fantastic. And then just this sentence. It's quite a complicated little sentence on how you say it, how you stress the different words. So, but the others cared but little how he looked, or how they looked for that matter. That little comma and then the dash, it changes the second half of the sentence, okay? So I'll just say it again and then you try it. But the others cared but little how he looked, or how they looked for that matter. Try it.
But the others cared but little how they looked, or how they looked, for that matter.
Yeah, how he looked. But yeah, you've got the idea. It's you have to change the intonation to stress that they really didn't care about that or that. Okay, very good. Well done. So, how are we doing? Vinay. Vinay, are you with us? And can we hear you?
Yes. Hello.
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 Nice to hear your voice. I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine. So, Vinay, do you know where we're up to? You're in the right place in the book already?
Yes, I'm ready.
Excellent. So, whenever you're ready, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, I am ready to start. Fortunately, it was not till they all had quite as many plums as were good for them that they saw a stout man, who looked exactly as though he owned the plum trees, come hurrying through the orchard gate with a thick stick, and with one accord they disentangled the wings from the plum-laden branches and began to fly. The man stopped short with his mouth open, for he had seen the boughs of his trees moving and twitching, and he had said to himself, "Then them young vermin at it again," and he had come out at once, for the lads of the village had taught him in past season that plums want looking after. But when he saw the rainbow wings flutter about of the plum tree, he felt that he must have gone quite mad, and he did not like the feeling at all. And when Anthea looked down and saw his mouth go slowly open and stay show, and his face become green and mauve in patches, she called out, "Don't be frightened," and felt hastily in her pocket for a threepenny bit with a hole in it, which she had meant to hang on a ribbon around her neck for luck. She hovered round the unfortunate plum owner and said, "We have had some of your plums. We thought it wasn't stealing, but now I'm not so sure. There is some money to pay for them." She swooped down toward the terror-stricken grower of plums and slipped the coin into the pocket of his jacket, and in a few flaps she had returned the others. The farmer sat down on the grass suddenly and heavily. "Well, I'm blessed," he said. This here is what they call delusion, I suppose, but this here threepenny, he had pulled it out and bitten it. "That's real enough. Well, from this day forth I shall be a better man. It's the kind of thing to sober a chap for life. This is. I'm glad it was only wings, though I would rather see the birds as aren't there and couldn't be, even if they pretend to talk, than something as a good name." He got up slowly and heavily, and went indoors, and he was so nice to his wife that day that she felt quite happy, and said to herself, Allah, whatever have I come to the maid, and smartened herself up, and put a blue ribbon bow at the place where her collar fastened on, and looked so pretty that he was kinder than ever. So perhaps the winged children really did do one good things that day. If so, it was the only one, for really there is nothing like wings for getting you into trouble. But on the other hand, if you are in trouble, there is nothing like wings for getting you out of it. This was the case in the matter of the fierce dove who sprang out at them when they had folded up their wings as small as possible and were going up to a farm door to ask for a crust of bread and cheese. For in spite of the plums, they were soon just as hungry as ever again. Now there is no doubt whatever that if the four had been ordinary wingless children, that black and fierce dog would have had a good bite out of the brown stockinged leg of Robert, who was the nearest, but at its first growl there was a flutter of wings, and the dog was left to strain at his chain, and stand on his hind legs as if he were trying to fly too. They tried several other farms, but at those where there were no dogs and the people were far too frightened to do anything but screams. At, and at last, when it was nearly 4 o'clock and their wings were getting miserably stuck and tired, they alighted on a church tower and held a council of war. "We can't possibly fly the way home without dinner or tea," said Robert with desperate decision. "And nobody will give us any dinner, or even lunch, let alone tea," said Cyril. "Perhaps the clergyman here might," suggested Anthea. "He must know all about angels." "Anybody could see we are not dead," said Jane. "Look at Robert's boots and squirrel's played netting." "Well," said Cyril firmly, "if the country you are in won't sell provisions, you take them in wars. I mean, I am quite certain you do. And even in other stories, no good brother would allow his little sister to starve in the midst of plenty," repeated Robert hungrily, and the other looked wearily round the barred leads of the church tower and murmured, in the midst of, "Yes," said Cyril impressively. "There is a larder window at the side of the clergyman's house, and I saw things to eat inside. Custard, pudding and cold chicken and tongue, and pies and jam. It's rather a high window but with wings." "How clever of you," said Jane.
Very good. Well done.
"Not at all."
Okay, so blimey, breaking and entering as well, as well as scrumping. Okay, so first of all, we'll have a look at the individual words, but nicely read. Got a little bit of feedback on the video, on the sound, a little bit of squelchiness on the sound, so you might want to do some recordings and just see if you can improve that for next time. But anyway, the first word is orchard. An orchard, so it's a ch sound, not a k sound. Orchard. Try it.
Orchard.
Yeah, orchard.
Orchard. Orchard.
Okay. Then the next sound is boughs. The boughs of the tree.
Boughs.
That's it. Yeah, a bough. It's like a branch. It's pretty much the whole that comes off the trunk where it's quite large, and then the branches and the twigs come off that. So a bough. Okay. It's the same as that awful word that you always get confused. Bow, bow. They're both homophones. Okay. The next one, lads. It's a short ah. Lads.
Lads.
That's it. And then this is a really strange one. I can only apologise. Mauve. Mauve.
Move.
Yeah,
Wow.
not move, mauve. Like oh, mauve. Does anybody know what colour
Wow.
mauve is? If you look at April's
Violet, a
top,
little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
your stripy top
A
is mauve with
pinkish
white
purple.
stripes, like a bit purplish, pinky purple. Yeah, that's it, a mauve colour. Very light purple is mauve. Okay, and then this next one, I know it says 3 penny, but and I've got some threepenny bits. We actually say threepenny, not 3 penny. Threepenny. Try it.
Triple.
Yeah, you really won't need that anymore because we don't have threepenny bits anymore. I've got some, but that's because I used to collect coins. Okay, the next one again, we got that short chap, a chap.
Jump.
Yeah, I say old chap. It's a little old-fashioned, but you can still hear people being called chaps. Okay, then small, small.
Small.
That's it. Nice all sound. Growl when a dog growl.
Growl.
That's it. I know we say groan, but growl. Okay, and then the hind legs. The hind legs.
Hind legs.
Yeah. So of course people only have legs because we've got 2 legs, but dogs have 4 legs. So they've got the legs at the front and the legs at the back are called the hind legs. So when a dog stands up on its hind legs, yeah, it means it's standing on its back 2 legs. Okay. Then stiff.
Stiff.
Yeah, like if. Stiff. War.
War.
Yeah, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing, as Brucey would say. Clergyman.
Clergyman.
Yeah, and we say it's a j sound, not a g. So clergy, clergyman. Somebody who works for the church, basically, is a clergyman. And then we say plaid. I know it looks like aid, but we actually say plaid.
Plaid.
Yeah, and plaid is, if you look at the desk in front of Reem, there's some cloth, and that's a tartan cloth, and tartan is also called plaid. Okay, this crisscross of lines is a plaid, I think. I think you can safely say that. Okay, so it's like a tartan is plaid, but not all plaid are tartan. Confusing maybe, but anyway, plaid. Then necktie. So it's a tie that goes around your neck. We sometimes call it a necktie. Okay,
Necktie.
that's it. Well done. Okay, just one little bit here, a little section of a phrase there. They saw a stout man. So they saw a stout man. Try it.
They saw a stout man.
Yes. And when they say stout, can you imagine what the man looks like? If somebody's stout. You think he's small? Robust. That's a nice way of putting it. Basically, it means fat. Okay. Big, bulky, a bit fat or heavy built. Yeah. So you can also call things stout. If you have a stout stick, it's a big heavy stick that you could maybe hit people with. Okay. And of course, stout is also a dark beer in the UK. So if you hear somebody order a stout in a pub, they're asking for a very dark, sweet beer. Not so much vigorous. It does imply that they're not fat and unfit. They're rather quite heavily built and quite imposing looking. Okay. But yes, stout. Good one. And then you get a smiley because you corrected yourself. Looked. Looked. Stout means naughty in Dutch. Really, April? Well, there you go.
Yeah, but when I read that
You thought he was a
in
naughty
this
man.
article, yeah, I thought I have to look up in the dictionary. Is it really stout, is naughty, or another meaning?
Excellent. Okay, so next person to read on my list is Reem. Reem, are you ready to read? Have you got voice? It's always a bit worrying.
Yes, just a moment.
Yay! Excellent.
Yes.
Super. And I have to say, your voice sounds much, much clearer than it used to. Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
Good.
I put headphone.
Ah, the headphones say,
Yeah.
do you make... That proves it, guys. It does make a difference. Oh, it's much better quality, Reem. Fantastic. Well done.
I will do that every time in
Yes,
class.
please. It's so much easier to hear you. All right. Whenever you're ready, Reem.
Yeah, I'm ready. I thought we stopped in not at all. I will begin at not at all. Self-care.
Yes, not at all, said Cyril.
Yeah, not at all, said Cyril modestly. Any poor, generally Nobleman or the dog of Mary Brof would have said it just the same as I did. It seems very wrong, said Anis. Nonsense, said Cyril. What was it, sir? Favor, Sydney said when the soldier wouldn't give him drink. My nest is greater than his. Well, glove together our money. So, thought, and leave it to pay for the things. Won't we? Honest was previous and very nearly it in tears because it is most trying to feel enormous hungry and unspeakable, sinful at one and the same time. So some of it was the cute was replay. Everyone now turn out its pockets on the laid roof of the tower, where visitors for the last 150 years had cut their own and their sweet shirts in initials with pink bikinis in the soft laid. There was 5 and 7 pence, halfly penny, uh, altogether, and even the upright Agnes admitted that was too much to pay for 4 people's dinner. Robert said he thought 18 pence. 18 pence. Everyone now turned out his pocket, and half a corn was finally agreed to be handsome. And Agnes wrote on the back of her last term's report, which happened to be in her pocket, and from which he first tore her own name and that of the glass. The following letter, dear dear Reverend Clar, Clar, clearly, man, we are very hungry indeed because of having to fly all day, and we think it is not stealing when you are starving to death. To day dies to dies. We are afraid to ask you for favor. You should say no, because of course you know about angles, but you would not think we are angles. We will only take it necessary of life, and no puppet, no puppeting or pie to show you it is not gradance, but true striffition that makes us make your leader stand and deliver. But we are not highwaymen by trade. Cut it short, said the other with a croat, and Anes hastily added, our intentions are quite hun, hun, honorable, if you only knew. And here is half a corn to show we are sincere and grateful. Thank you for your kind hospital. The half of the half
Okay, well done,
crow.
well done. Well done, nicely made. Some words for you, some quite interesting words actually. And don't forget at the end it says from us for. I think you missed that bit in the text, from us for. She signs the letter from us for. So let's have a look at the individual words first. And you still need to work a little bit on the names of the children. Okay, so we've got
Yeah,
Cyril, not Cheryl. Cheryl is a girl's name and Cyril is a boy's name. So Cyril, try it.
Cyril,
That's it. And then
Cyril.
if somebody's in the army, they're a soldier. Soldier.
Yeah, soldier,
That's it. Oh,
soldier.
soldier, soldier, would you marry me with your musket, fife and drum? Then the next one, drink.
Drink,
That's
drink.
it. To drink. She drank. They drink. He was drunk. Okay. And then Anthea. Anthea.
Yeah, Ansia,
That's it. So
Ansia.
we've got Cyril and Anthea and Lamb and the other children. Then Anthea was persuasive.
Ansia was persuasive,
Yes.
persuasive.
If you're persuasive, it's easy to persuade people. It's easy to persuade someone if you're persuasive. You can convince them that what you say is correct and that they will do what you ask them to if you're persuasive. Okay, the next one is, and again, I think you're fine when words are written the way you recognise them, but as soon as they turn into an adverb, you seem to have a bit of a difficulty. And all we've got here is the word enormous and then the adverb ending ly. Okay, so enormously. Try it.
Enormously,
That's it.
enormously.
That's it. Then the next one, all we've got here is unspeakable, and then it's been turned into an adverb by adding ly. So we've got unspeakably.
Unspeakably,
Yeah.
Unspeakable.
Unspeakably.
Unspeakably.
That's it. Unspeakably. Okay. It's just another little syllable at the end of the word. Lee. Okay. Then we've
Yeah.
got cautious. To be cautious.
Yeah. Cautious.
That's it. You
Cautious.
said that, yeah, very cautiously there. To be careful, to be cautious. Okay. Then reply, not replay.
Yeah.
Reply.
Yes. Reply. Replay that you
Play
make
something again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Replay.
So, that's it. Reply.
Reply.
That's it. So when someone asks you a question, you reply with the answer. Okay. Then sweethearts. Now again, quite often words become these little collocations they put together. So you've got the word sweet and hearts. So it's just, if you recognise two parts of a word, say them singly and then put them together. Sweethearts. Try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sweethearts.
Yeah, and then we've got another one, pen and knives. Pen knives.
Pen knives.
That's it. Now this next one, you'd think it would be half and penny, but it's a bit like that three penny. So in the past it was called a threepenny, and this is called a halfpenny. A halfpenny. But I'll accept half penny as
Halfpenny.
well. Yeah. Half penny is fine. Only old people like me would even know it was a halfpenny. Okay, the
Yeah.
next one is from to agree in the past tense. Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's it. And then tore, to tear, tore in the past tense. She tore her dress.
So.
That's it.
So.
And then her.
Her.
Perfect. Then reverend.
Reverend.
Yeah, it's just it's Church of England, like a priest. We call them reverends. Okay, so
Yeah.
somebody who works at the head of a church is called a reverend. Okay, clergyman, a clergyman.
Clergyman.
That's it.
Clergyman.
And then, if you're really, really, really hungry, and you're feeling really, really hungry, sometimes we exaggerate by saying, "I'm starving."
Yeah. Starving.
Starving. Yeah,
Starving.
children often think they're starving just because they haven't had breakfast. But of course, it's also a severe word for people who really are starving. You don't want to be starving, really. But we often use it as just to say, "I'm really, really hungry." Oh, I'm starving. I'm famished. Now, the next one, angels.
Angels.
Yeah.
Angels.
I'm loving angels instead.
Wow.
Then necessities.
Not necessities.
Yeah, the
Necessities.
things you need. The things you need to live is a necessity. If you've ever watched the musical The Jungle Book, and if you haven't, you must. In the musical The Jungle Book, there's the bear, and it goes, "The bare necessities, simple bare necessities." I love it. So you can do a little bit of
Yeah.
karaoke for tonight, yeah? Necessities.
Yeah.
And then the next one, which is like a sweet, like a dessert, but often in the UK we call it a pudding. Pudding.
Pudding.
Yeah.
Pudding.
And then honourable. To show honour, it means you're honourable.
Yes, without H. Honourable.
Honourable. Yeah. Honour.
Honourable. Honourable.
That's it. Yes, honourable. That's it. Good. As you said,
Honourable.
a silent H. Yeah, silent H.
Yeah.
Honour, silent H. Honourable, silent H. Okay?
Honourable.
Okay, this next one's really difficult, I'll admit, to say. So I'm going to read it out for you. any born general, Napoleon or the Duke of Marlborough.
Hannibal General, Napoleon or
Napoleon. Napoleon.
Napoleon or Duke, Napoleon or Duke of
Marlborough.
Mori for yeah,
Yeah, good luck with that one. Marlborough.
Marlborough.
Yeah, it's a funny one. It's actually I think Marlborough are a kind of cigarette as well, aren't they? Stinky things. But Marlborough is just a place in the UK. Okay, now when you come up across place names, there's a very good website called How D'You Say. Okay, and a lot of people have actually pronounced Marlborough and places like that for you.
Marlborough or Marlborough in Marlborough or Marlborough in England, Marlborough in America.
Okay, so Marlborough or Marlborough, but I always say Marlborough. Okay, that's the one, April. Yes. Don't worry too much about it, but place names can be very difficult to pronounce because it looks like Borough or something, but we say Borough, Marlborough. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Well done. So I think
But it's not Edinburgh, Ellen?
Edinburgh.
Yes,
The same as Marlborough then?
Yeah, Edinburgh.
The end.
Yeah.
Edinburgh.
Again, if
Marlborough.
you're in doubt, go to How Do You Say, and you'll find it. Oop. Where's it gone? And a lot of people say Edinburgh. Okay, but it's not Edinburgh, of course.
Edinburgh or Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Okay. Marlborough, Edinburgh. Okay. And of course, Americans do say borough, but if you're in the UK, it's best to ask for the train to Edinburgh. Okay, Moz, are you with us?
Thanks very much. Lynn.
You're welcome, Reem.
I'm here, Lynn.
Yay! Good. So whenever
I
you're ready.
didn't follow. Where's the Reem's last reading here?
Page
I
133.
Yes, it's in the first paragraph.
Yeah, the half crown was wrapped in this letter.
Okay, I got it.
Good.
Okay, Lynn, I will begin. The half crown was wrapped in his letter, and all the children felt that when the clergyman had read it, he would understand everything, as well as anyone could who had not even seen the wings. Now, said Cyril, of course, there's some risk. We'd better fly straight down the other side of the tower, and then flutter low across the churchyard, and in through the shrubbery. There doesn't seem to be anyone about, but you never know. The window looks out into the shrubbery. It is embowered in foliage like a window in a story. I'll go in and get the things. Robert and Anthea can take them as I hand them out through the window, and Jane can keep watch. Her eyes are sharp, and whistle if she sees anyone about. Shut up, Robert. She can whistle quite well enough for that. Anyway, it ought not to be very good whistle. It'll sound more natural and bird-like. Now then, off we go. I cannot pretend that stealing is right. I can only say that on this occasion it did not look like stealing to the hungry for, but appeared in the light of a fair and reasonable business transaction. They had never They had never happened to learn that at a tongue, hardly cut into, a chicken and a half, and and a loaf of bread, and a siphon of soda water cannot be bought in the stores for a half-crown. These were the necessaries of life, which Cyril handed out of the larder window when, quite unobserved and without hindrance or adventure, he had led the others to that happy spot. He felt that to refrain from jam, apple pie, cake, and mixed candied peel was a really heroic act, and I agree with him. He was also proud of not taking the custard pudding, and there I think he was wrong, because if he had taken it, there would have been a difficult about returning the dish. No one, however, starving, has a right to steal china pie dishes with little pink flowers on them. The soda water siphon was different. They could not do without something to drink. As the maker's name was on it, they felt sure it would be returned to him, wherever they might leave it. If they had time, they would take it back themselves. The man appeared to live in Rochester, which would not be much out of their way home. These were necessaries of life. Everything was carried up to the top of the tower and laid down on a sheet of kitchen paper which Cyril had found on the top shelf of the larder. As he unfolded it, Anthea said, "I don't think that's a necessary of life." "Yes, it is," said he. "We must put the things down somewhere to cut them up. And I heard father say the other day people got diseases from Germans in rainwater. Now there must be lots of rainwater here, and when it dries up, the Germans are left, and they get into the things, and we should all die of scarlet fever." "What are Germans?" "Little waggly things you see with microscopes," said Cyril with a scientific air. "They give you every illness if you can think of. I'm sure the paper was unnecessary, just as much as the bread and meat and water. Now then, I'm hungry.
Okay,
I
well
do not
done.
wish."
Okay.
Thank you.
Now then, oh, I'm hungry.
I'm stuck
Absolutely.
up
I'm
there.
starving too. Although I don't want any Germans. Very good, very good. Nicely read. And only a couple of corrections. Okay. Let's just give you the individual words first. So, the first one, it'll. It'll. It's short for it will. It'll be a week before I'm on holiday. It'll. So you can actually say that. It's quite okay to use these short forms when you're speaking. It'll. Try it.
It'll.
That's it, yeah. And then for these, you've got to get this long E. Not this. These. I know.
Okay, these.
That's it. These. I know it's something you've got to work on. And then the larder. The larder.
Oh, long A. So like a long A here. A larder.
That's it. And make sure you get that D sound. Larder. Okay. I mean, not every house has a larder nowadays, but in the past, before refrigeration, that's where you stored food. It would be the coolest room in the house, the larder. Okay.
Oh, oh, I remember.
Okay. Then you get a smiley for had read it. Well done. You corrected from read to read. He had read it. Well done.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay. Now the next this one, it's just how the pronunciation was fine. It's just how you say the top shelf. It's like one word. On the top shelf of the larder. Try it.
Um, on the top shelf. On the top shelf of the larder.
Perfect.
Larder.
Yeah, larder again. And then I just have a question for you. What are Germans? I mean, obviously they're not Germans. What does he mean? What's he misunderstood with Germans? Not Germies.
Yes, I think they're germs. I think.
Germs. Yes, germs without the e. April. Germs. Okay.
What about this one? I have in my book necessity,
Necessity.
but I heard necessity, but I heard Mosh twice said necessary. Is it the same?
No,
Or is that in
no,
your
no.
book then?
A necessity is necessary. Yeah, necessity. I might have heard that or not caught that as I was writing something else down. So try it, Moz. Necessity.
Okay. Necessity.
Yes, good. I can't say whether now he did say these were the necessaries of life, and the necessaries of life are the necessities. Okay.
Okay, now I heard necessity most, but before. So I think maybe it is necessary in your book and not in mine, because I have a Kindle one.
Yeah, sometimes there can be slight differences in the text. That is true. Okay. Okay, so next time, which will be in August, I'm afraid to say. Sorry about that. With me. So the next part of the book will be in August. But don't forget, next week, Eleanor will be running the session, and you'll be reading some short stories with her for the next 3 weeks. Okay. Good. So turn up next week. It will be in the calendar, and Eleanor, I will give you.
I will put on the forum which one or one.
Yes, I will. I'll put it in Virtual Worlds as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No problem. And if you have any questions about where to hold the, I mean, it depends. You can use anywhere on the sim where you want to be, or you can meet here if you prefer to meet here. It's up to you. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. So
okay.
It's okay.
Well, there's lots of seats here, isn't there? There's enough seats for everybody here. So, and I think April enjoys sitting in her rocking chair.
It depends on the weather, Eleanor. If it is raining,
yes,
I prefer herein, and otherwise we can go to the
beach. Very good, very good. And Eleanor, I'm here for the whole week until Saturday. So if you have any questions, I will give you admin rights. So
okay, so I will test it. I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, okay. So, but don't worry about it. But I'll set you up with admin rights.
If it's simple, it's okay.
It's very simple. It's just like being in Second Life. It's very similar to Second Life. So
okay.
You'll be able to build anything if you want to, or anything like that. But as I say, you can, as you wish to run the session. That's up to you. Okay. But I have changed it in the calendar. So it will say, people will know, okay? Take you with me. Oh, Shiny, I don't know if you want to sleep with Leica. She's a terrible sleeping partner, I tell you. She's got pokey paws and a pokey wet nose. I will always carry your heart with me. And don't forget, I'm going to be around on the forum, etc. So people can still ask me questions. I'm going to the UK this time, not France. So I have every hope we will have Wi-Fi and 4G at points. There's only one bit I'm worried about, and that's, I think, the second week. where we'll be in the Lake District, and the Lake District is notoriously bad for reception, but we'll see. I'm sure there must be a coffee shop with Wi-Fi somewhere in the Lake District, so I'll be keeping an eye on everything, and you can still ask me questions and stuff. I just won't be in the sessions, okay? And don't forget karaoke tonight in Discord. Do come with a song. Do come with a song. Okay, I will see you all in a few weeks, if not in another session. Remember, I'm still here this week, so my sessions are still running this week, so I might see you in another session. If not, I will see you when I get back from my holes. Take care. And thank you for coming, and thank you for reading so beautifully. Well done. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.